There are 7 elements of art, and we've been covering one of them for the last few weeks, color. The other 6 elements are line, shape, form, texture, value, and space. And what we're going to do this week is we're going to create a poster combining all of those elements together. Now, on our poster, there will be 8 sections instead of 7, and we're going to use that section to create our title space. You're going to need a piece of paper, a ruler or straight edge, pencils, coloring pencils, and for some of the areas you can use a marker, but you will not be able to use a marker for all of the sections. So to start our project, what we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of paper and fold it in half horizontally, or hot dog style. Once you have that paper folded in half, you're going to take your piece of paper and fold it in half this way. Once you have your paper folded, you're going to fold it in half again. This will create 8 equal sections on your paper. You're going to take your paper and unfold it. So now my paper is unfolded and you can clearly see all 8 sections and they are fairly equal. Now I've taped my piece of paper onto a board so that I could video this more easily, but you can lay yours flat on a table. In one of the sections, we're going to go ahead and create our title section. So in this section, what I want you to do is to write elements of art and write by and then place your name next to it because you are creating this work of art. Now in this title section, you are allowed to decorate it, color it however you wish. So if you want to go simple and just simply write the title, that is fine. So I've created my title section, and now we're going to move on to the next section. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to be filling out my sections from left to right. However, you are able to fill your sections in whatever order you wish. For this next section, we're going to label it lines, and then we're going to fill the area up with varying types of lines. Also for this section, I do not want you to use any type of color. I just want us to focus on the wide variety of lines. For the next section, we're going to label it shapes, and I want you to draw about 5 simple shapes in that area. Now, you are able to color your shapes if you wish in this area. In the next section, we're going to label it color. For this section, you have 2 choices. You can either fill the entire section with colors, or you can draw a rainbow and color the rainbow. In the next section, we're going to label it value. And what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 rectangles, and we're going to divide the rectangles into at least 6 equal boxes. And we're going to use our pencil to create a grayscale. Now, if you remember from our color theory slides, we used the paint bucket to create a grayscale from dark to white. We're going to do the same with pencil. Now, in the second box, you're going to pick a hue or color of your choice and do the same, going from the darkest you can get to the lightest. A helpful tip for creating your boxes for the value scale is to draw 2 rectangles, draw a line dividing them in half, and then separating the 2 halves into thirds. And this will create a fairly even 6 boxes. When coloring your grayscale or your hue value scale, it is best to start from dark and simply go lighter. Now remember that last box will stay white for the paper. While coloring, also remember to apply even pressure to create a smooth coloring. For the next section, we're going to label it form. We're going to draw 2 shapes within this area, a cone and a circle. And what we're going to do is we're going to shade them so that they look like they're 3D. So I've drawn my 2 shapes, a circle and a cone, and we're going to now shade them using a pencil to create a 3D form. For my shapes, my light source is going to be in this corner. I'm going to draw quickly a sun so you can see what I'm talking about. And what I'm going to do is, if my light source is coming from that direction, my shadow will follow along this curve. So I'm going to lightly color this section. And I'm going to even this out and try to blend this with the light area. And I'm going to go darker here. And continue going darker the closer I get to this outer edge. I'm going to create an ellipse at the bottom, and this is creating the shadow for my spear. And I'm going to go darker closer to the spear and lighter as I go out, applying even pressure. Now I'm going to do the same for my cone. So this shape is different from the spear. So our shadow is actually going to make more of a triangular shape. So I'm going to lightly draw a line. And then I'm going to fill in this area, applying even pressure. Now I'm going to darken this outer side, following the shape, and try to blend it in so there is a smooth transition between the values. And I'm going to go even darker. For the shadow for our cone, it is going to be a triangular shape. I'm going to go darker closer to the base and lighter as we go out, blending it as we go. And there we have our form. For this Next section, we're going to label it texture, and in it you're going to draw two items that have two different textures. I'm going to draw a cactus for the rough texture, like you would touch the spines of a cactus, and I'm going to draw a rabbit to give me the soft texture. You are able to color this section. In this last section, label it space. Now for this section, we're going to be dividing it into two parts, and that's because this element can have two different definitions. One meaning the positive and negative space, which is positive means the amount of space that the subject takes up, and negative meaning the amount of space that is surrounding the subject. The other definition meaning how the items are arranged in an artwork to give off the illusion of space. For the section that is covering the positive and negative space, I've drawn an outline of a strawberry. And I'm going to very lightly with my pencil split that picture in half. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to color the inside of one half one color and the outside of the other half that color. So I've colored half of the positive space red and half of the negative space red. The positive space being the strawberry and the negative space being the outside of the strawberry. So I'm going to pick a different color and repeat the same process again. So for the last section, for space, dealing with the arrangement of items in a picture, I want you to create a perspective drawing of a winding road. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a horizon line, and I'm going to create an S. Now, from the top of that S, I'm going to stay close, going wider as I follow along this curve. Now, if you want to, you can create mountains and little hills to create the illusion that the road is disappearing within those ranges. You can also add trees, smaller trees towards the horizon line, and larger trees the further you go down on the piece of paper. If you don't want this to be a road, you can also change this into a river. Color your picture. A helpful thing to remember while creating this perspective drawing is that things that are further away tend to be darker. So as you can see in my mountains on to the left, I've colored in the farthest mountain darker and slightly gotten lighter with the mountains that were closer. You can do the same with your sky, coloring the top of the sky darker and going lighter as the closer you get to the horizon. Once you're done with this drawing, place it on the assigned slide.